I think I should probably begin tonight with a prayer. I know my father would. Say, Dear Lord, please forgive Jim for being so overly generous in his remarks, and please forgive us both for enjoying it so much. I think my father and I are certainly both humbled by this recognition and all the other award winners tonight. You know, it's about time somebody recognizes us for our golf playing abilities, which is not quite true. But I really don't think, I'm not sure we really deserve this honor. Really, the people that do is really all the members of our employee partners of the Pinehurst family. You know, our involvement in restoring and enhancing Pinehurst has been a labor of love for 2 generations. It is truly an American dream come true. Some say to live the American dream, you have to move someplace else. I respectfully disagree. You just have to come to Pinehurst. You know, my father, some of y'all knew, he grew up a Depression baby. He was as poor comes. He's always had a saying that he was too proud to paint and too poor to whitewash. And it was really true. He was fortunate that during World War II, the Navy put him through school, so he got 4 degrees in 5 years. And at the age of 26, he became the general counsel basically for the world's wealthiest man, H.L. Hunt, in Dallas. But the one thing he learned from H.L., that there's only 2 ways to get wealthy as a lawyer. One of them is get out of law school and marry a wealthy woman. The other is get out of law school, be a lawyer for 30 years, and then marry a wealthy woman. Well, my father didn't marry a wealthy woman, so he had this desire to combine both his vocation with his avocation, which was golf. And they happened to be at Palm Springs on vacation in the early 50s. There were only 3 golf courses, seeing El Dorado. And he realized how much the real estate value had appreciated around the golf course itself. It's a 100-fold increase in value. And he surmised, well, what if you could do that in a major metropolitan market like Dallas, where they lived? And so he came back and started his first club in Dallas. He thought he could build a better mousetrap with 3 golf courses around 1 clubhouse, so 3 times the revenue and maybe half as much from operating cost, and it worked. And the first club was Brookhaven. Started in 1957, same year I was born. I like to say it was a vintage year. But he was the eternal optimist too. He named the company Country Clubs Incorporated with the S. He really thought there was real potential there. Turned out he was right. Over the next 50 years, he grew ClubCorp into the world leader in private clubs and resorts. I think at our peak, we had 220 clubs and resorts. We had 18,000 employees and over 450,000 members. So it grew rapidly. And we were fortunate, though, he also helped change the industry, certainly professional club management, from the sense he really helped raise and elevate the standards of excellence. But he also democratized the private club experience as well. He made clubs more affordable and more accessible that were exclusive but not exclusionary. And that was one of his principles from day one. So the acquisition that Jim mentioned in '84 through ClubCorp, it was a dream come true for my father. He would often compare it to a fairy tale and a Texas tale. Now, a fairy tale begins once upon a time, and a Texas tale begins, now you some bitches ain't gonna believe this. So, well, you some bitches won't believe how much the whole property was in need of repair. The chef actually fell through the floor in the kitchen into the basement. We used to joke that you would wipe your feet on the rug to go outside, not inside, when you entered the Carolina Hotel. But over the years, they built 2 more golf courses, number 7 and number 8. They acquired the Holly Inn, the Manor Inn. They built the conference center. They built the spa. But as Jim alluded to, I think the most important thing they did was they brought back championship golf to Pinehurst. And the people that really deserve the credit for that are Pat Corso and Don Padgett Sr. They had the '89 USAM, the '94 US Senior, 2 PGA Tour championships, and then it culminated, the highlight was the '99 US Open. And that was such a magical moment, one moment in time with Payne. I always get choked up when I talk about it, but, we're on the green congratulating Payne. My father and Payne were good friends. I'd known Payne growing up. My father was chairman of the board of SMU and got to know Payne well, and they played golf in Dallas and stuff. So to have him win there was incredibly special. But so we're congratulating him. It was incredibly emotional. We're on the green, hugging him and everything. And he turned to my father. He said, Mr. Dedman, you should be really proud. My dad was like, why, Payne? And he said, because SMU My father was chairman of the board, won today. The low amateur was also Hank Keeney, that also went to SMU. But it shows you how much pain had matured in his life. He was thinking about what it meant to my dad. So that was, I think, a fairy tale come true for my dad. And as Jim mentioned, he passed in 2002. And at the '05 Open, Pat Corso was nice to have the sculptor do the statue of my father that overlooks the 18th hole now of number 2. And we wanted to get a family picture. So my little daughter, Nancy, was 3 years old. She went up and knocked on the sculpture and said, "Granddaddy, are you in there?" So that was special to me. And I know my father would laugh about that because he would always say, he goes, "One day you're the pigeon and the next day you're the statue that the pigeon poops on." So one of my favorite quotes by Einstein reminds me of my father and so many of the others that were mentioned earlier. And it is, "If I have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants." James, Leonard, Richard Tufts, my father, Jim, some of these people you will know: Jim Macer, Jerry Dickinson, Beth and Brad Coker, Padge Sr., Pat Corso. We've all stood on the shoulders of giants at Pinehurst. After the family sold ClubCorp in 2006, we simultaneously acquired Pinehurst, and that was the only precondition of selling ClubCorp, because we wanted to stay involved here. So the next generation is really focused not just on restoration. We try to focus on transformation. But that was after we survived the 2008 Great Recession. That was not a lot of fun at first. But you think about all the projects that we worked on, and probably one of the most well-known is obviously the number 2 restoration. And that's been the catalyst for so many other good things since then. But you think about I'll give you a laundry list of just some of the things that are different now. The member clubhouse has been renovated, I think, now 3 times. The Deuce used to be a closet. We acquired number 9. The Carolina renovation. We're now on our 3rd full renovation of the Carolina, and we converted the Ryder Cup to the Carolina Vista Lounge as well. Built the Cradle in Thistle Dew. Acquired the Magnolia Inn in Villaggio. Completely took the Manor Inn down to the studs, rebuilt it. Hopefully some of y'all have had a chance to go to the North-South Bar. I know I have too often. Number 8 clubhouse. The new cottages at number 8 now, 11 new cottages. It's ironic that the resort is 130 years old. Those are the first hotel rooms that overlook golf in 130 years. And the newest project down south, sand mines, just number 10 just was ranked number 80, I think number 86, top 100. So there's been a lot going on. We've been busy the last 5 years. I want to thank Calvin and Dick for all they've done, but our company, our family has invested over $250 million in this community in the last 5 years to really try to help transform it and make it even more desirable for the next 100 years. We've tried to be good stewards. Thank you for saying that, Jim, as well. But we supported a lot of the local charities, including the Habitat for Humanity. We were the lead gifts on starting the 2 local chapters of the Boys and Girls Clubs of America, Sandhills Food Bank, Sandhills Community College. We also helped start 2 charities here, Tip of the Spear and the Trident Cup, that benefit our Army and Navy Special Forces. I know Todd Adams is here tonight with Tip of the Spear. He used to be a Pinehurst golf pro. Now he has had a distinguished career at the Army at Fort Bragg and is now retired. But he's done an incredible job with that organization. We've got a lot of future projects underway right now as well. Number 11 at Sand Mines, the lodge, the cabins, the casino renovation, the Holly Inn renovation, the number 9 golf renovation, and the members fitness expansion. So there's a lot underway, but none of these past and future projects would have been possible without great leadership at Pinehurst and the family's confidence in them. I want to thank Don Padgett too. He was really my foxhole buddy. He got us through the aftermath of the Great Recession in 2008. And he really deserves the credit for the restoration of number 2 more than anybody. And he helped be a great mentor to Tom Pashley and me as well. I want to say our hearts go out to the Padgett family. They had the celebration of life service for his mother, Joanne, earlier today. And so if you see Padge, mention that to him. Tom Pashley, he's been a great president of Pinehurst. He's had his own trials and tribulations. Anybody that was in the hospitality business survived COVID. You learn a lot when you go through that process. But he's been certainly the catalyst for growth ever since. I want to also recognize Tom's team. He's put together a great team of senior execs I think most of them are here tonight. David O'Donohue, just if y'all wave your hands so people can see you. Nancy Kiska, Eric Huster, Chip Vickery, and Dick Higginbotham. He's our jack of all trades. We can't even do without him, even though he's supposedly retired. So, but we've been fortunate also to have other great partners. Some of them are in the room tonight. The USGA has certainly been a great partner. I've known the last three CEOs well. Other senior staffers like John Bodenhammer, Reg Jones, our local, and many of the past presidents, Jim Hyler, Walter Driver, Tom O'Toole, Stu Francis, Fred Perpall. Special note about Jim, though. Without his leadership in the past four US Opens, Pinehurst would not have been chosen to be USGA's first anchor site, and it certainly would have been the home of Golf House Pinehurst. So thank you, Jim. We all owe a debt of gratitude to you. I want to also thank the Village of Pinehurst. I know we've been able to work collaboratively with the village to really kind of help create that unique charm and enhance the spirit of Pinehurst. I want to thank our mayor, Pat Pizzella, and the council and staff. Thank y'all for what you do. It's not always easy being a public official. I also want to recognize tonight Representative Neil Jackson and Senator Tom McGinnis that are here tonight for all their help, especially with bringing the USGA here, Pinehurst Golf House, and the World Golf Hall of Fame as well. I also want to acknowledge a lot of the past recipients of the Carolina Golf Hall of Fame have connections to Pinehurst. Jim Hyler, Jim's been both my mentor and tour mentor for the last 25 years, and I greatly appreciate it. But Don Patchett Sr., Bob Farron, still here at Pinehurst. He always reminds everybody he hasn't given his retirement speech yet. Don Patchett, too, was last year. And then certainly Willie McRae, one of the most illustrious caddies in the history of Pinehurst, inducted into the inaugural class of the Pinehurst Caddy Hall of Fame. So I would be remiss if I didn't recognize Jack, though, for everything you've done as well. Your dedication to the Carolina Golf Association is truly phenomenal. I'm so glad that you're getting recognized like this for all your accomplishments for all the years. So congratulations. If you'll allow me, I know I'm running long, but I just want to tell a couple of golf stories. And this goes back to Willie. It's a true story. I had the opportunity to have Willie on the bag quite a few times. I was playing one day with one of my good friends, Roman Kopczynski and his wife, Ruth, are here. Ruth calls Pinehurst her happy place, and Roman is known as America's guest because he's been here more and paid the least of anybody in the history of the resort. We're playing. I'm actually playing pretty well that day. But for whatever reason, Willie was having a tough day. And I don't know if it was like adult onset dyslexia or if it was he just had too good of a time the night before. But every ball was breaking the exact opposite direction on the greens that he said, which is highly unusual for Willie. So finally, I think we were on 13. I'm getting ready to putt for birdie. I'm like, all right, Willie, what's going to happen? He goes, left, right, Mr. Dedman. I go, now, Willie, if this doesn't go left or right, I'm going to have to chop off one of your fingers. So sure enough, I get up putt. It goes right to left off the green. I'm not too happy. So we're walking off, and Roman says, hey, Bob, take a look at Willie's hand. He was missing a thumb. I felt so bad. I mean, and if I'd been really smart, I should have said, I see you misread somebody else's putt, too. So. And another quick caddy story. It involves Thomas Trincatella. Some of y'all probably know Thomas. He's a senior caddy. Where are you, Thomas? I'd say stand up, but he probably already is. Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. Well, we like to tease Thomas because he's not the tallest caddy. And so one day we were playing course number 4, and on the 16th hole, off to the right, there's a tree over there. The branches hang so low. Thomas is the only caddy that can walk under the tree and not have to duck his head. So we like to tease him about that. So we surprised him one day with a plaque in his honor. And the plaque reads, Thomas Trincatella, a faithful caddy, long in wisdom, and short in stature. Now all the other caddies like to defile his plaque as they go by the Thomas tree on that hole. So on a more serious note, and Jim talked about principles, and I think that's what I've been fortunate, and that's why I want to tell this just briefly. We had an annual meeting with a lot of our vendor partners here about 2 months ago. And we allowed everybody to ask questions at the end of the evening, kind of had a fireside chat. And the first question was, tell us something about the 2024 US Open we don't know. And the second one was, tell us about the transformation of Pinehurst. And the old expression, history may not repeat itself, but it often rhymes, is so true. Because similar to my father in Payne, I have the exact same relationship with Bryson. I was chairman of the board of SMU. When Bryson came to SMU, the coach, Roman and I, recruited the coach, won 2 national championships at Augusta State. And he said he had this kid that had a lot of potential, he thinks, but the kid is wound so tight, you got to loosen him up. So we would bring him up here on golf trips with the whole SMU golf team, and we play Wake Forest or whatever. But we brought him up here several times. Well, it's so cool for me. I get choked up still thinking about this, but you know, the end of the 24 Open, everybody thinks Rory's going to make the putt, miss the putt. It's, tragic. And for Bryson to get up and down, the celebration afterwards, it was truly incredible. But, I'm hugging him and congratulating him on the green. And he goes, Mr. Dedman, you remember those golf trips we used to go on? I go, yeah. He goes, I remembered some of those shots out there today. He goes, thank you. It helped me win. That was just special, and that's, I think it's so special about golf. There's so many great memories that happen through golf. Arnold Palmer said it best when he said, golf is deceptively simple and endlessly complicated. It satisfies the soul, frustrates the intellect. It's at the same time rewarding and maddening, and as the greatest game mankind has ever invented. I think we'd all agree. Second question was about what are the principles that have helped kind of transform Pinehurst? And this often reminds me of my father as well, about Longfellow's Psalm of Life. It was one of his favorite poems in the last stanza, and it says, the lives of great men remind us we can make our lives sublime, and departing leave behind us footprints in the sands of time. Well, so what are those footprints? They're the principles that you really learn from your parents. And the way I learned how he built ClubCorp, how he, had his impact here at Pinehurst, and how he treated people. And so I'm going to list off a few of the principles. These are lessons that I learned from him. First was win-win relationships. It's all about talented people. Secondly was only partner with the best. We are blessed to have some incredible partners here. The USGA, Titleist, Peter Millar, all the incredible architects we've had the opportunity, designers we've had the opportunity to work with. Curran Crenshaw, Tom Fazio, Tom Dope. I know I'm leaving somebody out. Gil Hance, Jim Wagner. I mean, we're fortunate. And if they say the old expression, if you're judged by the company you keep, I think we're keeping pretty good company these days. We're doing pretty well. My father always emphasized being welcoming and inclusive with people that share your values. He always used to say it's easier to supplement someone's thinking than it is to supplant it. Fourth would be authentic, genuine respect for the spirit of Pinehurst and what we call the Pinehurst way by telling and retelling our stories that define our culture. Fifth would be challenge the status quo. The best example of that is the restoration of number 2, but also the things that we've been able to accomplish with the USGA. First U.S. Open in the rural South, the 2014 back-to-back men's and women's opens, first adaptive open here at Pinehurst, first anchor site, first new headquarters for the USGA, bringing back World Golf Hall of Fame. We also helped them start the Greenskeeper Apprentice program at Sand Hills Community College. So a lot of firsts there, but by challenging the status quo. 6 would be remember the past and be intentional about the future. I think a great example of that is our brewery. We probably should have torn it down. Well, 80% of that business now are all the locals, and it's exactly what James Walker Tufts talked about in his vision of what Pinehurst could become, was a friendship village. That's where everybody goes to meet and really get to, see each other. 7 would be put the fun back in golf. I think we did that with the Cradle and Gil Hands. Gil asked us, he goes, what do you want me to build out here? You got 10 acres. What do you want me to build? I said the only thing we told him was when people get off, the trolley or whatever, walk out there, we want them to think it's golf heaven on earth. And I think he did a phenomenal job. Even Gil has said he thinks the Cradle may be the most important golf course he's ever designed, because there have been 35 others that have tried to replicate its success since then. 8 is discipline to say no. Sometimes you have to leave your best ideas on the drawing room floor like the Cradle Lodge. 9 would be define horizon, ability to think long term. Like, are we solving problems just for today, or are we really looking for opportunities to help Pinehurst continue to evolve over the next 100 years? And 10, this is really true for my father. He always said cash makes a man careless, and its corollary, don't bet the cow, only in the milk of the cow. In other words, invest strategically, wisely, and measurably over a period of time. There are a lot of decisions we've made that we probably don't know what their ultimate success is going to be for another 20 years, good or bad. But most importantly, I want to thank our employee partners that have been part of this journey. There are so many, there are many in the room tonight. Y'all are the ones that create the genuine Southern hospitality and bring the principles to life. My father and I have often said, the less we do, the more our people do, the better off we all do. And I think that's so true. I want to finish with one of my favorite quotes that's been an inspiration to me for the last 30 years once I was aware of it. And it was by John Wesley, the founder of Methodism. And he said, do all the good you can, by all the means you can, in all the ways you can, at all the times you can, in all the places you can, for all the people you can, as long as ever you can. That's been our family's hope, is to be involved with Pinehurst for generations to come. We've always tried to be a force for good in this community by connecting people with the soul of American golf and the spirit of Pinehurst. I think we take it for granted sometimes how special this place and these people are. It is like no place else. You know, does the soul of American golf and the spirit of Pinehurst, does it really matter? I know it emphatically does to us and our Pinehurst family.